We're going to be looking at the equipment worn by Jake Oettinger, as we just saw in the montage. And hey, Rupper, I got to say, this is why you become a goalie. It's like Christmas morning. Every time you open up a new set of pads, new set of gear, it's a great feeling. So you guys missed out on all that. Try not.
It looks so nice.
Yeah, this is quite nice. This is the Bauer Supreme Shadow. This is the new gear from Bauer. And then we're going to talk about a little bit about what Jake Oettinger is wearing now, making his run through the playoffs, describe why he's able to do some of the things he does. But this is a very fresh set of pads, I'm going to say.
I want to ask you this, though, because I was messing around with these pads before, too, and I don't quite have the experience you do with pads. So I want to say, you got the gloves on, you've got the pads on. You're not on the ice taking shots right now, but what are some of the subtleties you've noticed that maybe are different than what your style would be like?
Yeah, so everyone gets to kind of customize their own gear. Nothing comes stock, really. Guys pick and choose what they want. So with Oettinger stuff here, putting it on today and testing it out a little bit, he's a tall guy. He's 6'5", 6'6", so you can see in the pads, you know, thigh rises come up pretty high on me, and I'm 6'2". But what he does is he's got a little bit more of the thigh rise here, so his knee's a little bit lower for a tall guy. Let me demo that here. So his knee's a little bit lower, but he's got a few inches extra up here, which I think for a tall guy helps close up the five a little bit. We got the slider skin. It's a new feature on these pads, which helps. It's a one-piece kind of wrap that allows you to slide a little bit faster, keeps the pads lightweight, helps with rebound control, so that's a new feature on these Supreme Shadows. And what he has here, that a lot of guys do now, is this thick knee stack. It's a thick block, so when you drop down, you're not sinking into your knee stack. It holds you up. It props you up, so it gives you a little more rigidity to sit up higher. So it's one thing I noticed. But, yeah, I mean, you know, he's so good down low. He's so big. He's so long. He's so flexible. I want to go to the tape here for a minute just to try to show you guys a few things that I noticed with his equipment and how he wears it and what it allows him to do. So we're going to do a little breakdown on the Bauer pad. So here, we're going to pause it here real quick. This is just a little subtlety that I noticed. See right here, he's got his strap coming across the back of his knee. So that's how I'm wearing it right now. A lot of guys used to do this. This was the kind of the default way to strap your pads. A lot of guys today will bring it down here to the calf, which allows the pad to rotate a little bit more. Oettinger wears it up here a little bit higher. So that keeps the pad a little more locked into his leg. So as you can see here, that's the way he wears it, which I was a little surprised at, because a lot of guys do it down to the calf. So now it's a little more wear and tear on your legs to have the pad strapped to your knee as tightly, but it does allow for more pad control. So I think he must like having a little bit more pad control, and that obviously helps him when he's controlling his rebounds and making his pushes. So we'll let this clip run through. Just a little, does more just an explanation there as he gets across. So here you're going to see a little bit more of a example. So here you can see right here, because he has it strapped a little bit tighter to his knee, when he leans forward in that pad, it's coming off the ice just a little bit, which is okay because it's not a shooting threat.
You're saying right here's coming up.
Exactly, because his knee stack is strapped on a little bit tighter to the back of his leg, which again is not common these days, but Jake still does that, which I used to do a lot in my career until later when my hips and knees started to hurt a little bit more. So as we roll this through, you can see though, once he releases, gets his knee stack down, it gets pretty flush, able to seal that post, seal that pad, nothing getting underneath there. So that's a good feature of these pads. They stay really locked in on the ice. So here's another example. Coming down, big rebounds off the pad. So let's pause it there for a second. The Bauer Supreme Shadows it's one-piece foam. So they take a bunch of foam, they have a big mold, stamp it. It's one big piece. It's not sewn in different sections like a lot of other pads. So this is one solid piece. So it creates lively rebounds. They're pretty firm pads, okay? So that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing if you know that they're firm and you're going to be kicking rebounds out.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So you're saying because it's one piece. There was a time when you had split pieces.
Yes.
And I would assume that doesn't make consistent.
Not uniform.
It's not uniform. So if I hit you in the crease of that, it's going to be dead and drop probably more than a solid piece. It's going to ricochet out further, right?
That's a great observation. Yeah.
Hey, come on, man.
Yeah, look at this guy.
Man.
Yeah, not just a hat rack over here. You know, so the pads I wore were Vaughn pads, so they were kind of made in different sections. So as you said, it's not quite as uniform. These, from here down to here, it's all the same. So pucks are going to come off pretty hot, which again, isn't a bad thing as long as you know that that's what's going to happen. So if you know these are coming in hot, as in this example here, if we roll it back one more time, you can see the shot off the wing. He knows it's going to come off a little hot, so he's ready to push right away. He pushes right away and is able to make that save. You know, I had quieter pads that would deaden it, so I knew I had to push a little bit less, but that's the way he goes. And as you can see here, another example. Rebound, kick, save. So that's a good feature about these, because what else I want to talk about that I noticed? Oh, here, we're going to talk about the glove here. 1 second, I put this clip in as well. Very out in front. The glove, the way it's presented, the way he holds it. These gloves are very lightweight. Very lightweight. He's very good to his blocker side. Not a lot of weight to push up there, which is nice. The glove, the way it's aimed and angled, it allows him to get it out front. As you can see in that clip there, can of corn on Leon, or whoever that was. I forgot who shot it. If it was Draisaitl or not, but
I think it was Draisaitl.
Leon Draisaitl, not a bad shooter. So he's able to get those gloves out, present them out in front, and catch pucks in front of him, because that's huge. As soon as you get back with your gloves, you get in a little bit of trouble. So these gloves lend to presenting pretty well and catching pucks out front. So I'm going to hop over to the net here to do a quick demonstration, or just show you what I'm talking about on some of this stuff. One thing I also noticed with him is there are different stiffnesses in the boot sometimes. So he has a little bit more flex in the ankle boot. So you can see if you bend that, that'll actually bend a little bit, but it keeps its stiffness up top. So these do not bend, because as a goalie, you don't want your top, a lot of guys don't want the tops bending because they bend inward and pucks can sneak through. So if you show, when you're down, get a little example. It's been a while since I've done this. It creates a good toe lock here. You can see these pads, you can get over in the reverse VH, things like that. Seal it with the pad here, but it keeps its rigidity and keeps its flatness along the ice. So there's not a lot of,
there's no daylight.
There's nothing there, right? And then if I go here to seal it off, there's really not a whole lot. So he gets so long and wide, he's able to extend, cover a lot of the net, and seal the ice up. And there's no holes along the ice that I can see. So maybe I should have been wearing this my whole career, because these feel pretty good.
Yeah, you should have, buddy. Look at
that. So anyways, pretty good example as to what Jake Oettinger wears, why he wears it. And, the other thing I wanted to bring up, too, subtle thing we talked about. When you're playing down south in the heat and the humidity, your equipment breaks down a lot more easily. So I had gear that would get really soft when it was warm out. I can see exactly why these pads, these will not break down in the playoffs. So I think that's another reason why he might like wearing them.
Let me ask you this, though, because you mentioned that. And I just even remember from being a skater where you go play in Tampa on the road. And, if I'm playing in New York and Jersey, Pittsburgh, whatever, totally different climate. And you get down there, and all of a sudden I'm going through more gloves in the game. I'm switching out my skates. Like, things are just feeling different. I liked having the stiff feel to my skates, but when you go down there to play a game, it throws everything off. So you're prepping your gear differently. Now, goalies, it's got to be totally different because, me swapping out gloves, like, that should pretty much feel the same, right? But you're swapping out. Do you guys swap out for certain games on the road or mid-game, or how often? And then how often do you go through pads in a season?
Yeah, I can't speak for Jake, but I know gloves. There are guys who use multiple sets of gloves. They might use a different set every period to make sure they're dry and fresh, because you sweat, it's humid, the gloves break down. So I would dry mine between every period and put them back on. Some guys will rotate through gloves in a certain game. For pads, again, I was probably 5 or 6 sets a year because mine broke down pretty quickly. There are guys who wear them out of the box. So they'll skate them once and wear them right away because they're ready to go. So again, I don't know about Jake, but I would say most guys go through 6, 7 sets of pads and gloves a year. And to your point, when it's those hot, humid climates and things are breaking down, you're sweating more in the playoffs, you're going to double overtime. You want to make sure your gear is going to hold its integrity and it's not going to collapse or fail on you, because when your gear gets soft, you feel small. So when you wear fresh gear, it kind of holds you out and it just keeps everything out and a little more rigid, so it makes you feel bigger in the net.
Hey, well, I want to sit here and do what I do to every goalie, but I don't want to. Those are too pretty. I'm not putting any marks on these.
Might send these back, too.
These are beautiful. Jake Oettinger rocking these Bauers and getting it done right now in the Western Conference Finals. So, all right. Bauer Supreme Shadow Goal Pads deliver unrivaled stability, coverage, and balance to optimize your on-ice performance, so you can play lights out every single game, just like Jake Oettinger.